The obligation is going to be met. Yes, it's true. Okay, you did your job. But we all know what bosses are looking for.
We get some answers, and we get the rematch.
We won't. I'm sorry.
And the rematch, he'll be able to prove it.
Stephen A. Smith emphasizes that real champions go above and beyond their duties by insisting that Gervonta Davis sign the Lamont Rematch contract. He feels that impact is the key to boxing. Income and ratings, in addition to contract.
The team right back. I'm believing him. I didn't see him hurt or anything like that. I get that part. I saw him hurt when he got popped with a counter from Lamont Roach and he stumbled backwards because he got hit with a shot while throwing a punch in an earlier round. So I'm certainly not going to do that. Here's the important point to mention. All of us got to stand down and give Lamont Roach an apology. I thought that brother was going to get beat down because I saw a dude that was a bantamweight champion. I said, why are you moving up to fight this guy? Why is Gervonta Davis taking this fight? This guy's too small. What the hell is going on? He was a featherweight champion. You're a lightweight. What the hell is going on? Why would you take that fight? I didn't understand it. What I didn't know is that once Lamont Roach stepped into the ring, he would be the bigger fighter. What I didn't know is that once he was in the ring and he looked like the bigger fighter, he fought like the bigger fighter because, ladies and gentlemen, from opening bell, he walked right to Gervonta Davis, walked right to him and stayed in his face all night long. If he backed up at all, ladies and gentlemen, it was 5% of the time.
Smith thinks that Davis needs to step up and force the fight to happen in order to establish himself as a dominant force in the sport.
Didn't know is that once Lamont Roach stepped into the ring, he would be the bigger fighter. What I didn't know is that once he was in the ring and he looked like the bigger fighter, he fought like the bigger fighter because, ladies and gentlemen, from opening bell, he walked right to Gervonta Davis, walked right to him and stayed in his face all night long. If he backed up at all, ladies and gentlemen, it was 5% of the time. The other 95% of the time, he walked right to Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis caught him with some good shots. He took it and then gave it back. Body punches, counter punching, left hook, straight right. This brother Lamont Roach can fight. And he's beautiful defensively as well. And seemed completely unfazed and undeterred by Tank Davis, a knockout artist.
That even though Davis has other career options before retiring, he wants to use this rematch to solidify his reputation in the boxing world and allay any concerns raised by their prior meeting. Davis's resolve is demonstrated by his commitment to a rematch. Given the result of the last fight, Davis has stated that he would be open to rematching with Roach in order to cement his reputation. This choice shows that Davis is prepared to return to the ring with Roach and shows his determination to clear up any doubts surrounding their first encounter. Mont.
I just so happen to be a boxing fan that the fact that I do watch him fight, you know what I'm saying? Like I really like boxing.
Are you open to immediate rematch?
In my contract, immediate rematch was signed. I signed for the immediate rematch when I signed for the first fight.
Right.
Just in case he lost or just in case it was a draw.
So when you got a rematch clause, how long we taking?
It's up to the A side and when they want to fight. So I'm thinking it's going to be soon. I'm hoping it's going to be soon. Let's say that.
What is soon to you? When you say soon to me, I'm thinking a month.
I'm thinking July.
I'm thinking July for sure.
Roach shown exceptional talent and tenacity during their initial meeting. He was able to absorb and successfully counter blows while standing toe-to-toe with Davis. Boxing fans were greatly impressed by Roach's defensive skills and retaliatory abilities, which established him as a dangerous foe.
Know the answers.
Yeah.
I think we know the answers. I think we know the answers, unfortunately.
But we need the rematch and we'll get it. But I touched on last night during the live stream, it's the great Angelo Dundee with Ali when he couldn't see and he was blinded. He didn't say go out there and call a timeout, take a knee. Go and run, move until you can see. And just to be able to go out there and call a timeout, you know, it's like being in the schoolyard. Oh, do over. Unbelievable. This has to be addressed. This can't just continue. This referee must be sat down and reprimanded. And hopefully we get some answers and we get the rematch.
We won't. I'm sorry. I'm terrible. I am, but I'm ashamed of myself. I am so cynical, but this sport has made me cynical. I'm sorry. I don't see anyone's going to reprimand this referee. I don't. What are they going to do? I mean, it happens too often. It's happened too often. I don't know. We need a national commission. That's the only thing I could think of, but we're not getting one right now. But the last thing I want to say to put a bow on this one, Bud, we talked about the controversial part, but I want to finish with the great part. That was high-level boxing. That was two guys at the highest level showing their skills.
In order to ensure an instant rematch in the event that he lost or the bout resulted in a draw, Lamont Roach prudently placed a rematch provision in his original fight contract. This calculated action demonstrated his self-assurance and will to prepare ahead and get another opportunity if necessary. Roach showed his business sense and confidence in his boxing skills by making sure he wouldn't be denied another chance. To prove himself,
What are you going to do? I love my sport that I've been in for 50 years. I hate what people do to it. I hate it. I don't hide that. I love the fighters. I admire the fighters. I try to defend the fighters the best I can. But that was appreciated by me. To see, I appreciate Floyd Mayweather. I appreciate Sugar Ray Leonard. I appreciate, all those great fighters.
Match between Davis and Roach is essential. According to renowned boxing commentator Teddy Atlas, he feels that unsolved issues from their last combat call for another fight, but he is skeptical that it will happen because there is no responsibility for the referee's choices.
I expected to see a knockout. I expected to see it come at the hands of Gervonta Tank Davis against a dude that I thought was undersized, that I thought was not on the same level. And my God, was I wrong. So I thought it was apropos that on this particular day, more than a week after Lamont Roach showed up at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, and let everybody know, yo, I'm no joke either. Y'all don't know who the hell I am. I'm here to reintroduce him to the world. A guy that many believe should be the lightweight champion of the world in the sport of boxing, the one and only Lamont Roach joins me right now.
Teddy Atlas criticized contemporary boxing, claiming that might and popularity have a greater impact on bout results than technique. He voiced his annoyance at what he perceives to be biased rulings that undermine the sport's integrity in favor of commercial and marketing objectives. According to Atlas, this change has damaged boxing's reputation, frustrating die-hard supporters and purists who respect fair play. His worries are part of a larger discussion about the legitimacy of the sport today.
The plan was I was going to call out someone in the ring, and then the journalists are like, well, who? I can't say. Well, who are you going to call out? Well, you saw he was in my locker room. And then everyone starts doing the math. The only fighter that came in the locker room of Gervonta Davis was Jake Paul.
Oh, Jesus.
Jake Paul was in attendance. Jake Paul was in attendance with his business manager, Nikisa Badarian. Do the math there.
Tank has taken losses all over the place. He didn't lose in the ring, but in terms of his profile, in terms of things he's saying, in terms of how he looks, he's taken losses.
I'm just gonna say, man, I like Tank Davis. I have a nice working relationship with him, but you cannot deny that his image took a hit, and it know what it showed to me, Chris, is every dog has its day, not in a good way. He's 30-0 heading into this fight. He's the man. He's the number one ticket seller. He's a pay-per-view attraction. He knocks everyone out. He puts freaking butts in seats. That place was full to the brim,
packed.
With weed, I was high. Weed smoke. Yeah, I was stoned. Were you stoned Saturday night? I was a little stoned.
Yeah, I had a headache driving home.
And maybe that has something to do with me walking out of there. But the hate that came out immediately after from fighters, Devin Haney, Teofimo, Shakur, to everyone, Berlanga, to the fans who have been just waiting for this moment.
Bud chimed in too.
Well, Davis has talked shit about literally everyone too. Like Davis was on his perch, as like this PBC guy who is
Gets
just
paid, who puts butts in seats, who knocks everybody out, and
it was warranted. Like Davis was the man. He's knocking everyone out, and you're selling out. What more can you do in this sport? Like that's the name of the game: make money, knock people out, fame, notoriety, and all that. So the minute he was going to slip up, and no one thought it was going to come in this fight against Lamont Roach. No. The minute Tank slipped up, you knew that everyone was going to come out with their pitchforks. Everyone was going to come out with their knives.
According to a number of pundits and boxing fans, Gervonta Tank Davis would defeat Lamont Roach via knockout in his debut bout. It was anticipated that Davis, who is renowned for his explosive power and aggressive approach, would dominate early on and end the fight quickly. But as the fight progressed, Roach showed incredible fortitude by taking Davis's blows and retaliating. Many were taken aback by this unexpected change of events, which effectively contradicted pre-fight predictions. There were concerns over Davis's tactics and if Roach had shown weaknesses in his game because there was no knockout. The conclusion of the battle ultimately stoked further discussion over the actual ability of both combatants.
And I concur with Dan Rayfield. A win taken away from Lamont Roach in such a big moment changes so many things. He deserves this win, and I feel like they took it from him.
Chris, rematch in Brooklyn. Let's run it back. I want to see it again. I was there. It was
Brooklyn.
The energy was great in there.
What about Vegas? Less taxes.
Well, that's
Brooklyn,
that's a good
the
point.
Scene of the crime. Go back to it and
They
justice.
take a lot of taxes in New York.
Yeah, I want the justice in the room.
Well, thank you. Justice in the same state would be absolutely fantastic. Don't forget Lamont Roach Jr. joining us later in the week to discuss this fight, his thoughts on it, his emotions, his feelings. It's all right here on Pro Box TV. Find out when millions are watching.
After the bout, Davis stated that he was unsure if he would face Roach again, but he did show interest in taking on other opponents, implying that his next bout would feature new opponents, demonstrating the wide range of alternatives at his disposal.
As far as the rematch, Gervonta versus Lamont Roach, who do I got? I got Gervonta, and possibly by knockout.
Fuck showbiz.
There's a lot of people that say that wasn't really quite Gervonta Davis. Me, on the other hand, I think Gervonta needed his ass whipped. I think victory was defeating Gervonta. Gervonta's been doing the same damn things, thinking, okay, this should beat you. I'm gonna collect the data, then I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna turn up. And Lamont was ready for all that shit. What I'm saying is, I think Gervonta is a greater fighter than Lamont Roach. And I think Gervonta is going to make those adjustments. Now, I know I brought up Roy versus Tough. And Lamont Roach can definitely look at Gervonta and say, any hair grease in your eye tonight, Tank? He could do that. And I think that'll be classic. But you could compare it to the Montel Griffin fight, right? The first fight, Roy and Montel, they were going at it. And Roy kind of figured him out later. The second fight, Roy just blew him out. Tank, he can do that. So,
Experts are in favor of a rematch because they think Lamont Roach should have an equal opportunity to get a final result. They contend that a second debate is required for clarity because the first one left too many issues unresolved. In order to dispel any concerns and put an end to the argument in the ring, a rematch would provide Roach and Gervonta Davis the chance to demonstrate who the better fighter is.
Gervonta Tank Davis and Lamont Roach Jr.'s rematch is set for June 21st. Now, I spoke about this the other day that this rematch could be happening in June, and look like that's what it's going to be. Now, Lamont Roach, in order to beat Tank, he's going to have to do a little bit more than what he did the last fight. He either has to knock Tank out or do more than what he did the last time and make sure Tank doesn't do more than what he did last time in order to get the victory against Gervonta Davis. Now, Gervonta Davis still has a 0 on his record. He now has a draw on his record against Lamont Roach. So hopefully this fight really goes down in June. It's supposed to be June 21st in Las Vegas, the rematch many want to see because many thought that Roach won the fight and the knockdown should have counted, which the knockdown did not count. It is what it is. So we got to go back in there and see if we can do a little bit more stay focused and get the victory. Or same thing goes to Tank. You know, Tank got to prove to the people that Roach is not better than him and Roach is not on his level. That's up to Tank Davis. We don't know if Tank just wasn't focused that night or Lamont Roach really has his number. I'm looking for Tank to maybe finish the fight this time, but to be honest, I don't think that Tank will be able to knock out Lamont Roach like he's been knocking out his opponents in the past, because Lamont Roach was taking some of his best shots. Some people think that because these two guys are friends, Tank didn't want to knock him out. And Tank said after the fight that he could have did a little bit more. So with that being said, maybe there is some truth to that, and maybe there isn't any truth to that. But we will find out on June 21st in Las Vegas. So be on the lookout for that. Who do you expect to win in this rematch? Holla at your boy.